Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. How is it going today? It is your boy, Kuro ESO. And today I have a new, updated version of my Stamina Templar build for Markarth for you all, because I felt like the last one just wasn't quite good enough. So if you're running my previous build or something similar to it, make sure to check this out, because this is literally just an upgrade. But before we get into it though, in case nobody has told you today, I want to be the first to tell you that you are beautiful and I love you, and thank you so much for being you. So this build is just like my last one, alright? It has a focus on being tanky while dealing enough damage, except this time it's a little more than just enough. This build can now get up to 5k weapon damage, which you can bump even higher, and I'll tell you how, as well as having over 16,000 penetration, before taking into account our two-handed maul, which will easily be another 2 to 4k penetration depending on who exactly you're hitting. So this build has substantially more stopping power than it did previously. On top of that, it still keeps its high health recovery value, which was kind of the selling point of the last build, though not quite as high as it used to be. We still get plenty at a nice 4k or more, again depending on a couple of variables, I'll tell you about those. And a nice new addition to the build is that this thing now gets up to around 35k resistances on the front bar, with a good 38k on the back bar. So that high resistance with our health recovery and our decent weapon damage bumping up our other heals, on top of being a Templar with a purge, this build has become one of my favorite Stamplar builds to date, as well as one of my favorite builds and best builds that I've played to counter the proc meta that we've unfortunately found ourselves drowning in these past few months. Remember that if you want to see me play this build and any other build that I've released live, don't forget to follow me over at twitch.tv/KuroYukiESO. We're on the track to 1,000 followers over there. You can also join my Discord for updates and sneak peeks at new builds and content. And lastly, don't forget to alt dump that sub button and that thumbs up button if you like my content and want to see more. So now let me stop teasing you guys. I know you're ready to bust that fat Templar nut, so let's go ahead and hop into this build video. Just gonna dive right on in here and take a look at our buffed up stats. These are self-buffed, they do go a little higher. We proc more sets, just keep that in mind. Weapon damage is 3,600, it goes up a lot higher. We do get 40% crit here. We do also get 2,400 health recovery before our Troll King. We get 1,500 stamina recovery. We got pretty solid resistances. Let's take a quick look at those. On back bar and rune, 34. On front bar and rune, 31. Out of rune in front bar, 28. Those do go up by about 4k more as well. Then we have 27k HP. We have 28k max stam, 12k max mag, and 2,300 crit resist. That's plenty of crit resist. You can get more if you want to. Definitely optional. If you want more health, take some points out of stam, put them into health. I'd say don't go below 25k stam though. That's a pretty good comfort spot. So yeah, if you want to get 30k health, go ahead, get 30k health. You won't suffer too much. If you feel like this isn't enough damage, like I said, we do go over 5k weapon damage, or not over, we go to 5k weapon damage. But trust me, it's plenty. With 5k weapon damage, with 40% crit, with 16 plus penetration. We do have a lot of damage, but if you want more, you definitely can get more. Because I am a Nord and I'm using the Steed Mundus, you could go with Orc, you could go with Warrior Mundus, you could combine the two and get an easy 700-ish other more weapon damage, and still keep the movement bonus from Steed by having the Orc Sprint passive. Lose out on a little bit of health recovery, but Orc does also have that passive that gives them a little bit of healing when they do damage. Not as useful, but, you know, still enough. You'll lose armor, you'll lose ult gen, but you'll gain a lot more damage, so you'll have a little more healing, and you'll have, again, more damage. Who doesn't like more damage? So those are the two options, I'd say. You could go Orc with Steed, you could go Nord with Warrior, do whatever you want, mix it up. If you want a lot more damage, do those two together. And yeah, that is it for the stat sheet. Taking a look at the gear. On front bar, I've got Briarheart. Briarheart gives us crit, stam, crit, and when we deal critical damage, we gain 430 weapon damage for 10 seconds. This is a really good set because on Stamplar, it's basically going to proc the second we start jabbing. With these sets, we do have 40% crit, so it's Very, very likely. I'm using a Maul sharpened to give me maximum penetration for maximum fun penetration time and damage. And I weapon damage enchant again for maximum burst. So when you turn around and do a light attack to proc your enchant into a set of jabs to proc your set, you go up by just about 1000 weapon damage and you get that big boy burst. Backbar weapon. We're using the Master's Sword and Board. I'm using a powered one-hander and an impen shield. I would recommend sturdy shield, not impen, with a stamina enchant. If you don't know what this set does, when you deal damage with puncture, you heal 6723. That'll go up when we have our minor mending. Let's just go ahead and activate that real quick. 6723 goes up to 7545. This also goes up because of CP. This also goes up because of heavy armor, and we're going to receive about a 4k heal from this. So yeah, and when you heal from this, you also get armor equal to the amount that you healed for 5 seconds. So this gives us a little 4k burst heal and a little 4k armor buff. It's basically like Bloodspawn, just on the use of a very, very cheap ability. So very, very strong two-piece here. If you have the perfected version, you get even more healing received, but I haven't been into DSA since they added the perfected version, so I do not have it. The non-perfected version is fine though. On the back bar, I also use these poisons here. They are double drain health poisons. These are very strong. It applies a double dot to your enemy and a double hot to you. And if you don't know how poisons work, the second the poison applies, it ticks instantly. And so you might do a light attack into a puncture. This poison will activate and immediately heal you for about 2000, as well as your Master Sword and Board heal, so that 4k heal will turn into a 6k heal. These poisons can also crit and heal you for more, so 7k heal. Very, very, very good defensive healing, as well as some offensive pressure because they do apply dots. So I definitely recommend using these. Then we have Troll King, 2-piece Troll King. This is a 5 heavy 2 medium build. I have my 2 medium on the Troll King. That's not ideal. I'll tell you why when I finish the sets. If you don't know, Troll King gives us 4% more healing done, as well as a big boost to health recovery when we heal at low health. This is about 1,600 health recovery after modifiers, and it's a whole fucking lot from a 2-piece set. Very, very strong, and it works great on Templar. Then our last 5-piece is 7th Legion. It gives us weapon damage, health recovery, critical, and when we cast an armor ability, we get even more weapon damage and more health recovery. It's a bit of a hybrid. It gives us defense, it gives us offense, and it gives us more crit. So with this and Briarheart, we got 3 crit bonuses there. We've got major crit bonus from being a Stamplar. So that's how we get to 40% crit in heavy armor. And 40% crit is all you need. And yeah, we get a lot of weapon damage from these 2 sets. And they work together really, really well. Kind of an old school combo, actually, if you know anything about old school. I have 1, 2, 3 sturdy. I would like to have a 4th one on the shield, like I said. That would be ideal. And I'd actually rather have a reinforced chest. So like reinforced chest, 3 sturdy on the body, and then the rest impen would be the way to go. On the jewelry, I have 3 infused with weapon damage Briarheart jewelry. Briarheart jewelry is actually extremely expensive, so that's why what I'm about to say now is awesome, and that is, if you have heavy Troll King, use it. I do not, so I'm using the medium here, and I'm actually gimping myself just a little bit, because you would preferably have 2 Briarheart medium here on your hands and waist, since they are the least amount of physical resistance and spell resistance. So you'd be able to get a good, probably 1,000 or so more resistances out of the build if you run it with heavy monster and 2 medium on the hands and waist, while still keeping all the benefits. So yeah, that's the way you would want to do it. And then you'd have 1 Briarheart jewelry and then 2 7th Legion jewelry. And then you could save some money on the Briarheart jewelry because the shit's expensive. And 7th Legion jewelry is not that expensive. So yeah, that's the way you would want to run it. If you feel like you do not have enough sustain, feel free to make one of these a stamina recovery glyph. If you do, I don't think you need an infused one. I think you just need a regular one, and I would recommend going with a bloodthirsty enchant to still increase your weapon damage by a good little bit. So yeah, if you want just a little more stam sustain, definitely do that. 1 Bloodthirsty with recovery. And that will do it for the gear that I am using. Go ahead and take a look at the skills, starting on the back bar. We do, of course, have Resolving Vigor. This is our main heal. I'm sure if you play Stam, you know what it does, but if you don't know, it's a heal over time. You cast it on yourself. It lasts 4 seconds, and it makes you pretty hard to kill because it does heal for quite a lot. Then I have Reverb Bash. I like Reverb because it is a quick stun. It can be used offensively or defensively. It hits decently hard. People tend to have trouble breaking free of it because it's very quick, doesn't have much of an indicator, and it can be kind of buggy. You can also proc your poison. If you don't want to use Reverb Bash, you have a few other options. You could use Channeled Acceleration or Race Against Time, either morph works. I prefer Channeled Acceleration for the longer uptime and not having to recast it as often, and also because I do have a snare removal already. But again, either one works. This gives us crit damage, makes us fast. Pretty useful skill on this build. You could even go with a Razor Caltrops if you want to, which is kind of the opposite. Instead of making us fast, it makes everybody else slow. And it's very, very useful. Yes, we do get the armor debuff through another skill that we have to run to make the build work. But the tiny little dot, the AoE slow, and the AoE debuff is actually very useful on this build, and it can lead to some really sexy Dawnbreaker drops. You could also run Repentance. The primary use of this skill isn't the best anymore, but if you're actively killing people, it does let you suck up their souls and get some healing and some stand back to let you stay in the fight a little longer. But the nice bonus is the while slotted you gain minor fortitude, minor endurance, minor intellect, right? This increases our recoveries. We do get the stamina recovery one from another skill, but the magicka recovery one is a nice little bonus to help us keep our magic up higher, and the health recovery one is very nice because it brings our buffed up health recovery from 4k to 4.5k, so it just makes you have even better passive healing on your back bar, with the added bonus of being able to get some sustain out of it if you're actively dropping bodies. Not my preferred one to use, but it does actually work pretty well in group play. So if you're in a group, you could definitely give that one a try. You could even use like Binding Javelin or any other stun right here instead of Reverb if you don't want to use Reverb. But I do like to have a stun here on the back bar. Then of course I have Restoring Focus. This is my armor buff. If you don't know what Restoring Focus does, it gives us our major armor buff, as well as a 50% bonus to armor while standing inside the room, and also 240 stamina every 1 second. That's a lot of extra stamina. This will give us stamina back while blocking, which is very helpful, and it's also our primary way, and only way, mind you, of proccing 7th Legion. I've seen some people ask me questions about this before, and they think that 7th Legion is bugged or something because of the way it works. It's not a bug, it's by design. The way it works is you cast 7th Legion, it's up for 15 seconds, and you cannot rebuff it while it is active. You have to wait for it to wear off. So if you cast your armor buff when 7th Legion still has 2 seconds left, the 7th Legion is still going to be 2 seconds, and then 2 seconds later it's going to wear off, and you're going to have to use your armor buff again. So keep that in mind, because I know a few people are a little confused about that. It's a bit of a weird way for them to make the set work, but that is how the set works, so just remember. Luckily this thing is cheap, and it's not hard to recast. Then we do have Extended Ritual. This is the most important skill on the Templar toolkit. This gives us a big AoE circle of healing over time, pretty strong heal over time as well as a Purify, removes 5 harmful effects. Since this is my only magicka ability, it's the only thing I have to worry about messing with my magicka pool, so as long as I have magicka, I can use this and not worry about anything else. With all the dots and procs that are in the game right now, this is really nice to have on you because you're going to get 5, 10, 15 negative effects on you really quickly when you're outnumbered. And luckily lots of those damage over time proc sets do have cooldowns, either overall or per target. So after you cleanse off that what the hell is that one called? The one where the gap close and put the bleed on you, yeah, like that has a 10-second cooldown. So after you get rid of that, you don't have to worry about it for another 10 seconds, and you'll have definitely gained back enough magicka to recast this in 10 seconds. So yeah, it's very nice. Helps you mitigate a lot of that proc damage, a lot of that dot damage. It also is a nice heal. It's a very large area. It'll proc your Troll King for you without you having to actually manually activate Vigor or anything else, and it's very nice. So, in case you don't know, some people have asked before, when it comes to Templar, you want to fight inside your rune or your ritual pretty much at all times. If you have to kite over here behind this pillar, drop your ritual, drop your rune. That'll make you survive a lot longer. Pop your vigor, go on the offense then. Well, technically you'd want to probably pierce armor first too to get the buff, but either way, you want to make sure you're in extended ritual and you have your vigor ticking. Then you can fight people, then you can do damage. But those two things are very important. Then pierce armor. Of course, we have this to proc our master sword and board. This applies 9,000 penetration to the bad guys, which is a lot of penetration. It gives us a lot of free damage. By free, I mean 1,666 stamina worth of free damage. That's barely any stamina at all. This thing is super cheap. With masters, it gives us a nice heal. You can spam this, you can hold block and spam this on a few people to get constant healing. It's very strong, very, very strong. And yeah, it's a great debuff. Good skill. Doesn't hit that hard, but if you do this, you get a poison proc, you do a bash, you might chunk somebody for 5, maybe even 6k. It can be surprising at times. And then back bar ultimate, I do have spell wall. If you're in a group, you could use something like Solar Prison. Not ideal, but it does do a decent bit of damage with some other good effects, and the synergy is quite nasty. You could use the Templar healing ultimate as well. Rite of Passage, this will heal you and everyone in your group. Very, very strong. You could use Sigic Order ultimate, get Undo, and then go for Temporal Guard, or even the other one, since you do have minor protection already. And this will break ankles and get you out of bad situations. Lots of options here, but I like Spell Wall. This one basically makes you a impervious wall for a few seconds, good 7 seconds. Great for repositioning, great for getting yourself out of a bad situation. The only thing that's going to really hurt you through this is dots, which again you can just cleanse off. Going on to the front bar now, we have forward momentum. This is what I mentioned earlier. This is my snare immunity and removal. This lets me move around a little quicker. This combined with the Steed Mundus I found is all the mobility that I actually need. This also gives us our major brutality, increasing our weapon damage, and minor endurance, increasing stamina recovery. Two very, very important buffs for the build. And yeah, you could use Rally. You could. I don't recommend it at all. Okay, you don't need it. You get a lot of healing coming in from your health recovery and from your heals over time. With Vigor, this heals you every 1 second. This heals you every 2 seconds. Health recovery heals you every 2 seconds. So basically every 2 seconds you've probably taken in just about 10,000 healing every 2 seconds. It's quite a lot of passive healing, especially if you're using your Pierce Armor, you're proccing your healing poisons. You might get, you know, they get all this stuff can crit except for the health recovery, so you might even get like 11, 12, 13k healing over the 2 seconds. So you do not need a burst heal, I promise. But if you want to, you can use it. If you want to work in Race Against Time for your snare immunity, feel free to. I just feel like it's a big drain on your magicka pool, and not being able to use extended ritual as much as you want to is a real bitch. So that's why I use this. This is my mobility and one of my biggest buffs, absolutely essential. Now, Power of the Light. This is a bit of a point of contention in the Templar community. This skill kind of sucks these days. It does. The damage isn't what it used to be. You do have other options like Camo Hunter to get minor Berserk, but let me go ahead and explain why I still use this. So, if you don't know what the skill does, it applies minor Fracture, which we already get through the Sword and Board thing. By the way, the Sword and Board skill, you can use either morph, just whichever you want more of. You can either have more uptime on minor Breach, or more uptime on minor Protection. Either one, it's up to you. But yeah, this thing will basically absorb damage as we are doing damage to somebody, and then let it all out as a burst. It used to hit really hard, now it doesn't. Now you might be lucky to see a 4k is a bit of a stretch, but 2 to 3 is usually where you'll see. Now, if you use Camouflaged Hunter, you'll get minor Berserk, which is a 5% increase the damage done. The thing about that is, 5% increase the damage done may give you an extra 500 to 1,000, maybe slightly more damage in a full combo, but it just doesn't add any additional burst. It just makes you do slightly more damage when you proc it. And the reason that I like Power of the Light is that my combo is already going to hit really hard. So just getting that additional little bit of 2 to 3k extra burst as the cherry on top of the combo is like that is sometimes all you need to put someone right into execute where you can finish them off, and it's still very, very helpful. It doesn't hit as hard as it used to, obviously, but it hits hard enough to notice and to matter. So that's why I still use it. But you could use Camouflaged Hunter. It's perfectly reasonable to use it, and I understand why people do. These are the two options you would want to put here. You know, either one is good. I just like Power of the Light. It's a Templar staple, and I'm not getting rid of it. I'm sorry, you can't change my mind. Now, Dizzy Swing is the next skill. Again, this is a bit of a funny one. People don't really understand why I use Dizzy Swing. They're like, oh, you've got Reverb Bash and you've got Dizzy Swing on. Why do you need 2 stuns? Well, I don't actually use Dizzy Swing as a stun most of the time. The way I use Dizzy Swing is primarily as a burst combo opener, okay? I'll pick whoever I want to hit. I'll make sure they're debuffed with Pierce Armor, with Power of the Light. Then I'll go in for my heavy attack to proc my my weapon damage enchant. I'll hit him with the Dizzy Swing. That'll set him off balance and hit him for a good 4 to 5k, maybe even 6, 7, depending on how squishy they are, if I crit, etc. And then they are now off balance, so I can respond in a couple of ways. I can either stun them with a medium weave attack, I could stun them with an ultimate, or I could not stun them yet. I could do a little bit of damage with my jabs, and then stun them when they get low. There's a whole lot of things that this thing allows you to do, and it is also just a really good opener for your burst. And make sure that whoever you're trying to hit is already at a pretty low health pool from the very start, you know? You don't want to, like, spam this. This is just an opener. That's what it is. And it hits hard. It's fun to use. Like, I don't even know what else to say, okay? It's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, use this at the beginning of a combo, set off balance, get yourself a damage buff. You can use it as a stun, but then after the first stun, it's gone. You know, off balance is a long cooldown. That's why we have reverb. So if you're in a long fight with somebody that won't die, you can still stun them after that initial off balance is gone. You don't have to wait for it to be back up again. So that's kind of why I like to have 2 stuns. And yeah, if you don't want to use this, you could go with Javelin on the front bar. It hits hard enough, it's ranged, it's fine. And then you can be on the back bar, because you don't need 2 stuns. You don't need 2 of these stuns, so you could do, you know, whatever other option you want back here, and you know, you'll be fine. It's a fine bar setup, I suppose, but I like it my way. And then we do, of course, have Executioner. When you can use this on someone that is below 50% health to make them go to 0% health. Very nice. It's kind of fun watching them and watching them crit. Get that nice 12k execute on someone that is just barely below 50% health and they just fucking die. Awesome. And then, of course, we have Biting Jabs, primary spammable, AoE. Hits really hard, pulls Night Blades out of stealth, gives us a crit buff. Not really much else to say about that besides jab, jab, jab. And then for ultimate, I guess you have 3 options. I've used Dawnbreaker of Smiting for the AoE burst, dot, and stun. Really strong ultimate when it actually manages to hit people. You could use the 2-handed ultimate and get the penetration bonus from that. Or you could use Empowering Sweep. I don't have it. I actually have Crescent Sweep because I pressed the wrong button, but Empowering Sweep is a thing that people sometimes use. I wouldn't use it personally, but it can be good in duels because it is a low cost, so it's basically like an extra ability on your bar because you can use it every 10-20 seconds. It has a decent uptime of about 6 seconds. It's an AoE circular dot that is around you, so people can't cleanse it off like they can with the Dawnbreaker dot, and they can't really dodge it either. And lastly, it can proc your Burning Light for even more damage, so it's not horrible, it's just not my favorite. So those are your 3 options. Choose from what you want there, but I really like Dawnbreaker of Smiting because it works really good in a burst combo. Hitting him with the big boy Dizzy Swing into the Dawnbreaker, into the pokes and executes is really, really fun, and I definitely recommend you try it before you change anything about it. Well, that'll do it for the skills. Lastly, we're going to look at the champion points, just real quick. I'm not really going to talk too much about it, just kind of look through here, you know, pause the video if you need to look at them. We'll explain this though. I do have more points into physical protection than magical because we do get extra spell resistance from the Templar passives. So more into healing here. Very, very helpful. I do recommend getting as much healing as you can. Heavy armor focus. 1 siphoner for the debuff. Warlord. Make sure to have a good few points into healthy to get that health recovery up to a nice respectable level. Just a few in tumbling so you can roll a little bit. Shadow Ward because blocking is life. A little more healing here through Blessed. 72 Master at Arms. Piercing, you do want precise strikes because we are critting a lot, so that's going to be a big boy damage buff. And we'll also increase our critical healing, which is helpful. And that is about it. Okay, well, that's it. That's the CP. And that's the build. So, if you liked what you saw, and you would like to see the build in action, I've got some clips coming up for you of me using the build in some solo outnumbered 1vx kinds of scenarios, and I'm going to just gonna kill some people and talk about it. So if you want to hang out for that, by all means, it's coming up right now. Hope you enjoy. Thank you for watching the build video. If you're leaving now, I love you. Have a great day. So jumping on into the first clip here, I am being surrounded by 3 players. These guys are typical solo player jumpers. You know, they think they're good players, they're really not, and they just kind of love to outnumber you, you know? They're like role-playing as small-scale players, when really they're just Zerglings. They've got some procs, they've got a Warden, they've got Magplar, and they've got a Stamplar. Not a big deal, so I just keep my movement speed up and make sure that I can maneuver around, try to stay out of the Caltrops, try to get away from the Magplar with the Grothar, and just reposition myself. And I decide that I'm going to make my stand right here. Go ahead and debuff the Magplar, get him ready for the combo, slap him with a Dawnbreaker and poke the shit out of him, keep poking him, and then execute him until he dies. And yeah, it's over for him. His friend tried to get him with the heals. Unfortunately, he was a little too slow. Now, a blue bomber does come and join the fray. Unfortunately, he catches the Wombo combo and is sent to an early grave. Poor fella. But it's okay, because now it's just me versus this one guy. And by this one guy, I mean these 2 guys, because here comes the Stamsork. Now, the Stamsork is going to immediately go for the res. I don't allow it. Give him a little pop on the nose, call him a naughty boy, and just go back into my buffs here. Make sure I got myself nice and buffed up to deal with all this shit. Don't really know what kind of damage these guys are packing. I'm going to go ahead and focus the Stamsork, though, because I know he's a little squishier. Hit him with the debuff, hit him with the stun into the pokes, and then here comes the Dawnbreaker. All that pressure, he just cannot out-heal it, and he catches the execute right in the top of the noggin and goes down. Now, again, it's just me and this dude is pretty notorious for just rolling every 5 seconds and just waiting until he has a 500 ultimate with his Balorg and his Clever Alchemist and then ult dumping you. Now, unfortunately, with Stamina Warden being what it is, that actually can work pretty well. So I do have to kind of be on my toes, because like, while he isn't the best player, the damage can come from nowhere sometimes, and I know he likes to pop in move pots and just it's a whole annoying thing. Anyway, he keeps on throwing his Caltrops down. I just keep my buffs up. We kind of go back and forth here for a while. It's not much of a threat, but, you know, I still am duking it out. I keep on putting the damage into him, make sure I get the power of the light up over and over, hit him with the stun. He doesn't really respond with the heals fast enough, and he goes into the dirt like a good little boy. Turn around and see someone is getting a res, and it's the Magplar. Now, this guy that resed him is a speedy little fucker, and he just likes to run. He runs as fast as he can and as far as he can, over and over and over again. You'll see that I try to keep up with him. I try to kill him first, but he's just too fucking fast. So he just watch. Just watch how much he runs away. Like, this dude is definitely in track in high school, and that's for sure. He's just going to hit that dodge roll, and he's going to sprint away. Just zooming. Dodge rolls, cleanses, everything. He's definitely good at staying alive, I'll give him that. But you know, he's not long for this world. The second he decided to jump into this fight with me, it was over for him. Now, naturally, the second the Magplar jumps on me, the other guy is going to get ballsy and jump on me as well, and he's just going to keep on doing that. He's going to kite outside of my threat range until it looks like he has an opportunity. And in just a second here, I kind of get wise to the fact that I'm just going to have to kill the Magplar. So here we go. Go ahead and get my cleanse down, debuff the Magplar, and go ahead and hit him with some damage here, stun him, put more damage into him with the pokes, almost get him, but he does manage the dodge roll to execute, and like I said, the second I stop focusing on the Stamplar, he just jumps right back in. Not a big deal though, because he has no damage. So now I just keep the pressure up on the Magplar, keep hitting him, and more or less ignoring the Stamplar, because he's kind of like a flea, you know, occasionally biting me in the ass, but not really doing any real damage. So here we go with the Dawnbreaker and the Execute. Just stick it out through that meteor, not a big deal, it didn't do any damage anyway, and now it's just me and the running Stamplar, who I guess all of a sudden grew some balls, and unfortunately for him, it wasn't enough to kill me. And that brings us into the second clip here. Now the second fight here is, it's pretty quick, but it was kind of a fun fight. I laid a bit of a trap here with this resource, and these Nightblades decided to spring. So I go ahead and hit this guy in the back of the head with the Dizzy Swing and the Dawnbreaker, knock him out nice and quick. Do the same thing with this guy. They weren't even ready. So now it's this Nightblade, and there's another one that's going to pop out of stealth here in a second. Go ahead and just put damage into this guy, and now if you notice I'm not buffed up, so here I do actually catch quite a lot of damage, and I wasn't really ready for it, but it's perfectly fine because I responded pretty well, and I managed to heal back up. I'm going to go ahead and focus on this guy, hit him with the Dizzy Swing into the Dawnbreaker, hit him with the pokes, and he cannot respond, and he is dead, and now it is just this one little fella here, who is going to do a pretty alright job at staying alive for a second here, but unfortunately for him, he just didn't have what it takes. And he's going to die here in just a second. We'll go ahead and get the debuff up on him and get my beaten stick ready, slap him in the face with a nice heavy Dizzy Swing into the stun, into the pokes, and just keep poking him until he stops moving. And that's that. But unfortunately, here comes a couple more guys, and there's going to be even more guys here in a second. So I try to stick it out, keep the bodies down, but more and more keep coming, and I have to go inside and kite in the tower. I'm not able to keep these bodies down, so I'm just going to get absolutely overwhelmed here. There's going to be 4 Nightblades and 4 of whatever the fuck else. I go inside the tower, like I said. Keep my buffs up, try to stay alive, you know. But in the end, after a good 5-10 minutes of fighting, I do eventually just getting overwhelmed and dying. It is what it is. It happens every day. So now hopping into the third clip, I'm just kind of walking alone, minding my own business, when a couple of blues who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood, alright? I got in one little fight, my mom got scared, but it's okay because I'm going to fuck all of these guys up. So I go ahead and debuff the one that I think is going to be the squishiest. Go ahead and line up the Dizzy Swing combo. The Dizzy Swing doesn't go off, but it's okay because the Dawnbreaker does all the work that I need it to, and I'm able to just follow through with a couple of pokes and some executes to finish off the Stamina Warden. And with him gone, it just leaves the Lobby Nightblade and the Magden. So obviously I'm going to focus the Lobby Nightblade first. Go ahead and get him with the debuff here. Tried to get the Dizzy Swing combo off on him, but he does cloak it, but it's okay because the pokes go right through the cloak. Hit him with the Javelin, knock him over, hit him with the Executioner Skullbreaker, and he takes a dirt nap. And it is now just me and the Magden. Unfortunately, the Magden does have over 30k HP and a win button in the form of Arctic Blast. So it's going to be a little bit of a pain to put them down. They are Arctic Blasting, they are popping Resto Waltz, and you can see over in the corner, one of my buddies is actually trolling me with the occasional bow stun just to be a dickhead. Love you, Battleship. So yeah, this is a really long, drawn-out 1v1 when a bunch of yellows and a bunch of blues kind of roll up and they start tussling it out. But I break off with the Magden and fight her over here when a Lobby Magblade jumps into the fight. I do catch the Destro ultimate here, and it's a little bit of a problem, but it's not enough to stop me. Now I go ahead and debuff the Nightblade, hit them with the full combo, the D-Swing into the ultimate. It's a little laggy, so you can't see it, but it did all go off, and that execute finishes them right off. Now it is just me and the Magden, who is once again going to try to run away, kind of. They drop the rune, so I avoid that so I don't get stunned by it, and just follow them, just tail them, poke them in the butt a little bit for that debuff, hit him with the Dizzy Swing, medium weave, poke, 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 execute, and victory royale. And that is the end of the third clip. Thank you for following Ollie Bompa. Welcome to the stream. And we're coming now into the fourth and final outnumbered fight I have for you guys. This one's a bit of a long one. Now, as you can see, I'm at a resource, and this guy decides to come in the tower behind me because he's an absolute fool, catches the Dawnbreaker in the face, and catches the Execute right on top of his little dome piece, and takes a nap on the stairs because he's a sleepy boy. It's perfectly fine. I try to make sure no one wakes him up because that would just be really rude. So I'm just going to make sure I protect him while he's taking a nap, because if anyone were to wake him up, it ruined his day. You know, he has to get his 8 hours, so. Unfortunately, stairs aren't a great place to take a nap, and even a worse place to make sure someone stays taking a nap, so it becomes really hard to actually keep him down, and someone decides to pop an immovability potion to make sure they can wake him up, and that's not very nice. Luckily for me, he decides to come right back in by himself. Don't know why, but he does run away and goes and takes another nap in the exact same place. I guess he's just really, really tired. Either that or he just really, really likes the stairs. Now again, I'm going to try to make sure he stays asleep, but it's kind of futile in this area. I do pop the Sword and Board ult to try to get some free damage in on this Magplar, but as I do, I see a couple more coming over the hill, and there's someone coming up behind me, and just a lot of people that are trying to beat my ass. And I don't really take kindly to that. But either way, I do focus on the Magplar because I feel they are the squishiest one here, and also seeing bad Magplars just kind of triggers me, okay? I guess I'm a bit of a Magplar elitist, you could say, but you know, it is what it is. Now I see my friend Battleship over here. He's just kind of hanging out, so I go ahead and engage the Magplar again. Their friends are not here to help them, so I get the full combo, the Poddle, the Dizzy Swing, the Dawnbreaker, the Pokes, the Execute, everything just goes so perfectly there, and I put the Magplar in the dirt. Now what follows is an exercise in absolute futility. I try to watch this body for a good 3 or 4 minutes. I get a whole lot of bashes in, a whole lot. I stop this person from being rezzed constantly, but I'm not sure if it's because I was trying to keep the body down more so than killing people, or maybe it was because I just wasn't sustaining well enough, or I wasn't doing good enough combos, or what have you, but I'm just not able to stick any kills at this point. Now, looking back at the footage, I noticed that I'm basically being parsed on by some PvE kid with Rapid Strikes and Storm Fist, and I probably could have very easily killed him, and I didn't really notice in the moment. I was too busy tunnel visioning the Mag Sork. So I guess this is just a lesson for everybody, to always make sure you are aware of the targets that are in your area, and you know who you are fighting at all times, because sometimes you may miss an opportunity to get an easy kill because you are too busy focusing on someone else. Because I don't know if you noticed, but earlier there, when I was trying to poke the Mag Sork, I was poking the PvE guy by accident, and he was almost dead, and I just still didn't have the mental capacity to change targets. So again, always make sure you are aware of the people that you are engaging. Make sure you know who you're fighting, know how squishy each individual person is, and then choose your target. Don't tunnel vision in on someone just because you killed them before, because it doesn't mean they're going to be the squishiest person in the fight the whole way through, okay? Now I'm taking a lot of damage here. I don't like that, so I'm going to go ahead and pop my Sword and Board ult. As you can see, there's a lot of aids on me. There's procs, there's a sniper over in the hills somewhere, and he's just being a real dickhead. But it is what it is PvP, you're gonna get sniped all the time anyway. Almost killed this guy for the 4th or 5th time, but unfortunately he manages to dodge roll right through me and avoid the Executioner, and I get a lot of heat on me again, catching the snipes, catching the parse, catching all sorts of nasty, nasty stuff. At this point, all I can really do is just kite and hope for a good opportunity to deal my damage. Now, I decide that I'm just gonna let that body go. Okay, it's been too much. I've been putting way too much into it, and now PvE guy comes up, and as you can see, totally light work. Absolutely delete him with very, very little effort. And if I would have just done that from the beginning, that would have been one less body to watch, like one less guy to watch while guarding that body, and it would have been a lot easier to weed out everybody else. Just lessons you learn, you know? That's why you gotta always go back, watch your gameplay, see what you did right, see what you did wrong. You can really learn a lot from it. So, I see this guy is 545 CP. He is going to be my next target. And luckily for me, he keeps on going for the res. And I don't know what happened right there, but I guess he just decided to stop resing and start again. I don't know. But either way, he's not going to get the body up. So I have an opportunity to generate an ultimate, which is the plan here. I'm just going to kind of kite, stay alive, keep my resources up, wait for an ultimate, and then dump it on the group since they are all kind of congregating right here at the connector in the stairs. Get the ult, drop it on the lobby, go ahead and hit him with the pokes, and finish him off nice and easy. Catch the enemy Dawnbreaker, go ahead and purify that dot right off. reactivate the heals, reactivate my 7th Legion, pop a quick sword and board poke to get my armor and my heals, and now I'm choosing a new target. I remember that the Magplar died pretty easy last time, so I'm going to go ahead and focus on the Magplar here again, because also I don't want to get rid of that Grothar, it's kind of annoying. So that is the goal, until they drop off down there by themselves and leave the Magsork here all alone. So just the quick, easy Poddle, D-swing, pokes, execute, easy kill. Drop down here to keep chasing that Magplar just to see that my boy, Smithereen D, decided to show up and ruin my 1vx. Smithy, we need to have a talk, okay? Because you're grounded. Anyway, hit this Magplar in the back of the head with that big boy, thick cock dizzy swing, and finish him off like it's nothing. And now, the Stamplar that was trying to zerg me down, all of a sudden thinks he's a 1vx god, and he's going to beat me and my friend here. My buddy, Battleship, decides to just kind of hop in to be a bit of a pest. He hits me with a Bullwolf, almost die, and Battleship's a interesting character. Anyway, we do chase this guy around for a really long time. He does end up falling off from the top floor down to his death, and that's how we end up winning the fight, and that's where I end this clip. After this clip is done, I'm gonna roll some duels for you guys, because I know sometimes you guys like to see the duels, you know, you like to see how the build works in duels. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. But just a little forewarning, none of the people that I dueled are bad, none of the duels are posted to be slanderous or rude in any way, and nice. Yeah, that's it. Just they're just duels that I had that were good fights, and that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Love you guys. You guys have a great day. Rag tops, that drops, black hat, black flags, flat tops, dreadlocks, hot tops, red dots, black hole, headshots, dot dots.